Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over parallel lines and their transversals and the angle pairs that go along with them. So when you're dealing with these types of problems, your most basic diagram is where you just have two lines that are parallel and some line running through it. It could be slanted, could be perpendicular, but it's just passing through both of the lines. Now, before we cover any of these angles, you just want to make sure that you know for a fact that these two lines are parallel. So either the problem tells you that these two lines are parallel, or they give you the notation, the symbols used for parallel lines, which are pretty much a pair of arrows. And then once you see that or you're told that, then you can pretty much go ahead and start applying these angle properties. So let's first start with corresponding angles. Now, corresponding angles are congruent. This is a symbol for congruent, but I'll write it out as a word as well. And how they're identified is by similar placement. So for example, let's say I'm looking in this corner. I'm going to call it the upper right. If I use my tick marks and I mark the angle here, its corresponding angle is actually going to be down here, right? So let's say this is the upper right here in this quadrant. This will be the upper right here in this quadrant, and then I can do that again here, right? So this is my lower left portion. It's congruent to this lower left portion here. Now if I want to write that out, let's say I call this angle 1 and this angle 2, I can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and I can also say that angle 1 and angle 2 are corresponding. And I want to elaborate that knowing these angle properties are very helpful for when you deal with properties of quadrilaterals and also proofs. Just like with vertical lines, when two lines intersect, you always have a pair of congruent angles. When you have parallel lines and transversal, you're always going to get one of these four properties. Alright, let's move on to the next one. We have alternate interior angles. Now, keyword interior, it needs to be in between the two parallel lines. So, for example, if I put an angle here, its congruent angle is going to be on the opposite side of the transversal down here. Okay, so they are alternating along the transversal. And of course they are congruent, so if I label this angle 1 and angle 2, I can again say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Let's go on to alternate exterior angles. So again, they are going to be on opposite sides of the transversal and they're going to be congruent. But since they're exterior, they're going to be outside of the parallel line. So this angle here is going to be congruent to this angle here. Okay, so if I want to mark that down, I can write that as angle 1 and angle 2, and I can write it out. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Okay, last one. This one has two names, consecutive interior angles, or for, I guess, simpler purposes, same side interior angles. So this and this, they share the property that they're both in between the two parallel lines, but these angles are not congruent. They are actually supplementary. And remember, supplementary means that the two angles add to 180. So an example of that is this angle here and this angle here. Okay, and I'm drawing two different tick marks because they may or may not be congruent. I don't know, but I do know that they need to be a pair next to each other on the same side of the transversal, and I know that they add to 180. So I'm going to write that same side interior angles here, that they are supplementary. And if I were to write out the notation for this, I would say angle 1 plus angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so very important to remember that only 3 of the 4 angle pairs for parallel lines and transversals are congruent to each other, and the last pair is supplementary. And this is pretty much it. Again, very useful for when you're doing proofs with quadrilaterals. And you need to use like side angle side or angle side angle, whichever. this is always going to be handy to know. And that's pretty much it on the basic level. This concept will get more challenging when expressions are involved. So let's say you have an expression here for the alternate interior angles, but you need to solve for the value of W or something. You would set these two expressions equal to each other since they're congruent, and then solve for the variable. Whereas this one, you would add the two expressions and set them equal to 180. Very similar to the example I used in my last video with complementary and supplementary angles. No different strategy there. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below, like and subscribe, and I will make another video later. Bye!